Radio, keeping you up to date across the UK, online, on DAB+, and on the Talk Radio app. Rob Rinder on Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody. This is Rob Rinder on Drive Time on the home of Common Sense Talk Radio. Now it's time for my sort of favourite bit, it's becoming, of my time with you on a Friday, for our regular postcard from America with a man whose depth of political knowledge could, well, frankly, it's so deep it could rival the Grand Canyon. It's White House correspondent for Real Political News, John Christopher Buer, or as we like to call him, Prof JC. Prof JC, firstly, thanks for being with us. So much to get through this week. Firstly, Donald Trump, who's never out of the news, all he has to do is tweet or fart, and the entire news networks across the political spectrum cover him. I've always said, frankly, the best thing to do is to ignore him if you don't like what he has to say, but there it is. He's started a new online venture called The Truth. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, frankly, that seems to me to be the mother of all ironies. How's it being reported over there? Just to give our listeners some context, after the insurrection, or after what happened in the Capitol building, where people ended up, frankly, invading or at least trespassing in that space, there was an online platform called Parler that was shut down. This appears to be a rival. Is that right?
Well, I mean, he's getting mixed reviews, and I would say mostly mixed with sarcasm and curiosity. Mm-hmm. And he's hoping that the media will talk about him. I mean, Oliver North once said to me, John Christopher Buer, don't care what they say about you as long as they spell your name right. And I think that's what Donald Trump is worried about. They're going to forget him. He's been ostracized, been kicked off Twitter, kicked off YouTube, and kicked off Facebook. And now he's a man without a country, but literally, and he wants to get the attention back on him, and has created this. Looks like it's another securities that he's trying to sell to the people and get people to buy in on. Now, remember, he never really had a very successful business. He was his show, The Apprentice, was going down the tubes when he began his campaign, and I think he decided to run for president so he could pay some of his debts back and give himself a proper name. But it's not working, and he's not treated seriously here, except, and I will make a major exception and mark this, by his disciples, those who deify him. And I've said this for years. I grew up near Donald Trump. I'm a boy from Queens. You'd never know it. But I don't have the envy that he has. He was born on the wrong side of the East River, and he always wanted to be a posh boy at some of the private schools on the upper and west and east side, and he never was. So he's always been striving for that. And he'll do anything to get attention, and he's not very good at business. His Taj Mahal collapsed. His security on his hotel here basically is empty in Washington, D.C. He had sold steak. That was a failure. Wine was a failure. And he tried to put a college together, and that was a failure.
I get that. Prof JC, those are all kind of noted failures, and many of the ones you refer to were ones that we knew about before he was even president. You said that he doesn't have a country and that he's being forgotten because he's lost these critical platforms. Yet the entire media, certainly in America, covers whatever he says and does, regardless. And more, I suppose, from your political point of view, or in general, given your chief love and worry is the health of the Constitution and the country that you love, and that's why you seemingly are motivated against Donald Trump, is that he seems still to represent the large sway political force of the Republican Party. I mean, this week we read about people like Nikki Haley and other people saying that the party needs Donald Trump, even now. So what you're saying might be true, but whilst the Republican Party doesn't eschew, doesn't disavow what he does, it seems to me he's definitely not a political voice or force without a country. He's very much got one, and a political party.
He's got a political party indeed. But the people who follow him are mostly those who can't even afford to buy his products or go to his casinos. And those rather wealthy people, those intelligent, elitist GOP people, are looking desperately for another leader because they know they've once led them down the rabbit hole, and now he's doing it again, and they're frightened. And he's very vehement. The whole idea of doing this website of his, this new platform, is to get back at Zuckerberg, to get back at others, to get back at CNN. And I'll tell you if you have a quick minute, I'll tell you a story that I'll never forget. My wife and I sat 2 tables away from him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which I often attend. Yeah. And Barack Obama was the keynote speaker. Oh, yeah. And Barack was going off on Trump.
I remember it. I remember watching it. Right. He said he'll never be president. It was that one, right?
He also said something about the color of Donald Trump is a color not found in nature, which I looked at my wife and I was aghast. But when we looked over at Trump, his jaw was tight. Sparks were coming out of his eyes. Right. And I predicted to my wife, who knows I have some political acumen, I said, this guy is really, I won't use the word,
angry. He's angry, right?
And here he was so angry. I said, here's where he's deciding to run for president and undo everything that Barack Obama did and destroy his legacy. Yeah. And there you go.
Prof. JC, I've heard that Correspondents' Dinner really maybe was a kind of triggering moment, perhaps. One thing, whether you like Trump or not, whatever you think, whether or not some of the Biden voters in those blue walls now frankly feel that they've got buyer's remorse, is one question. But one of the things you always talk about is the dignity of the president who's in office. And you've spoke, frankly, in an even-handed way about presidents in the past, be they Republican, be they Democrat, but chiefly that they represent the head of state of this beacon on the hill, this great nation that you love. And one of the things that matters, consequently, is what a president says. And we reflect this week on the passing of the great General Colin Powell. And I want to read you Donald Trump's tweet. Wonderful to see Colin Powell, or we would say Colin in this country, Colin Powell, who made big mistakes on Iraq, be treated in death so beautifully by fake news media. He was a classic rhino, Republican in name only. He made plenty of mistakes. But anyway, may he rest in peace. This is a man who dedicated and sacrificed a life to service, not just as Secretary of State, the first African American Secretary of State, which is significant, but a man who put his life, frankly, on the line in order to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, something that Donald Trump never did. I mean, what does that say about the dignity of Donald Trump and about him holding presidential office and the possibility of him getting there in the first place?
Well, first of all, I take it personally because I am an alum with Colin Powell. Oh. We both went to City College of New York.
Oh, wow.
CCNY. Yeah. And he established, and Donald Trump set up a university. It was a sham. But Colin Powell established the School for Civic and Global Responsibility. And Colin Powell admitted he made mistakes, and he admitted we need true leadership, and he admitted that. Now, I've met Colin Powell a number of times. Like I said, we're both alumnus of a free university in the United States of America. When I went, it cost nothing to go to this school, and Colin Powell was a man of integrity. He went over. He joined the ROTC and then began his military career while he still was in college at City College, which we call it.
Yeah. I guess my question is this. There's a sense in which people look at Donald Trump, his brashness, his language, and the unbelievably ungallant, we would say, but frankly, the deeply and limitlessly undignified way he behaved in response to the death of a great man in your nation. And I asked myself the question, why is it that it seems, and we perhaps don't understand it here, maybe we do, that people are prepared to forgive that sort of language? What is it about him? Is there something special about him?
Well, his followers, like I say, his acolytes or whatever you want to call them, they've deified him. They are one with him. This gets kind of spooky and a little on the spiritual sense. They believe they are him. They think they are one with him. And when he tells people that they too can have solid gold commodes, they think they're going to have that too. And back in the 20s and during the Depression in the 30s, we have incredible movie theaters that were built with gold ceilings, and stars would come through the ceilings, through the lights. And he tried to convince people that if they follow him, they will become him and they can be just like him. You remember Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers dancing in those days? That was during the Depression. Mm-hmm. And he's convinced his followers that he will make them the same as he is.
Yeah. Well, right or not, whatever you think of Donald Trump, there's something about the language there which is odious. And, you know, listeners, whether you think he had good or bad policies, there comes a time when you say, that's just not okay. As ever, very helpful, enlightening examples from across the centuries. This is why, you know, Prof. JC is, well, he gives us the best postcards, but it's like being in one of those best college classes where you sit there going, we want more. Prof. JC, I hope you're going to be back giving us more postcards. It's like listening to The Great Berlin, only better, because we can understand what you're saying. It's a delight to speak to you. It's a delight to speak to you. You should follow John Christopher Bull on Real Political News. You'll get a balanced, it's very rare, a balanced point of view about the American political landscape, something which is extremely hard to find. I'm Rob Rinder, and you're listening to Talk Radio.
Online, on DAB, and on the Talk Radio app. Talk Radio.